Should I go? Okay, I'm just gonna go. 1995, University of Rhode Island. On a football team, and we came back to win a football game against UConn. Me, I was enjoying another year on my way to my second all-conference, all New England, all ECAC honors, and I was, preseason All-American honors. Curtis Whiting, everybody's friend, man. Kid would come into a room and just light up the room. He lived in Hackensack. I lived in Pennsylvania, and it so happened that we always used to brag about whose team was better, his or mine. So we were going to go watch his team on Friday, and then we were going to drive to Pennsylvania and watch my team play on Saturday. Went to the game on Friday in Hackensack, watched his team play. We decided to go out in New York City. That night in New York City, we got into a tragic car accident. We never made Pennsylvania the next day. Kurt passed away. Another one of his friends from New Jersey passed away, and I was placed in a coma, found on the side of the road with no vital signs, a fractured C7 vertebrae, and thrown from the vehicle. I had to go through intensive cognitive therapy after I learned to walk again and go up and down the stairs again. I made so much progress that they allowed me to go back to college, and I ended up finishing up. But I think one of the major things that happened to me was within a year's time frame, not only was I dealing with the death of my friend, living with a traumatic brain injury. Now I had a kid on the way. My grandmother passed away, which was a staple of her family, in which I lived with when I would come home from college. I just didn't know how to cope and how to maneuver, in my new realm of just being who I was. I struggled. I made some not so good decisions. Ended up going back home to Pennsylvania because I basically burned all my bridges there. I couldn't be in there. I left my family. My son's mother, she was awesome, and she was young. She was going through a lot also. She was in college. So now I left her to raise our son, and I ended up leaving there. I went home. I was fortunate enough to have somewhere to go and have a home. Got into grad school, had a good. I did really well in grad school. I had built some good relationships, and things were going well. So I thought, but I still wasn't dealing with the origin and the root of what it was that was festering in my body as a volcano. Volcanoes are always live volcanoes, and it's just a matter of time before they erupt. At the end of grad school, we had to take an examination, a comprehensive exam. I failed my comps. I got a DUI. Your first DUI where I'm from was nothing really. It's a suspension of license, pay a fine. Got another DUI 2 years later. After that DUI, a month later, I got another DUI. So I had 2 and 3 close to one another. You could say I was fortunate they combined 2 and 3 to count it as 2. And where I'm from in Pennsylvania, after your second DUI, you have to go to prison. I got tired of being tired. And I knew I was always blessed with knowing things would get better. I mean, I don't know how they can't get better when you're doing bad, but I was always blessed with just knowing things would get better. And, but I knew it was going to require work, and I was just going to have to be vulnerable and humble myself and ask for help. So I promised myself, I prayed on it, like, please allow me to be vulnerable. Please allow me to ask for help. That's one of the first things I did when I was released from prison. I reached out to some people. I needed that. God told me I needed to do that. I needed to be more transparent, and I needed to accept some things in my life. I needed to accept where I was at in life. My old college dean, I called him up, And one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to go back and finish what I started with my academics and with grad school. And of course, he wanted to know why I didn't finish in the first time. And I told him I made some bad decisions. And he asked me further, like, why? What were you doing? And well, I went to jail. And he said to me, "You were in prison?" Yes, I was. I made some bad decisions. And I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said a scripture to me. He's religious. He's into the Lord a lot. He gave me a scripture and said the Lord will forgive you. And he called me back the following day, and he gave me a number. He said, "This is whom you want to talk to." I don't know what he said to this individual. I don't know their conversation to this day. I don't know their conversation that they had. And so I called the individual the number that he wanted me to call. It was the president of grad school, and I talked to them, and they were going to allow me to retake the test again, which is remarkable. Anyone who's been to school or colleges, curriculum dies after so many years, and it's been 20 plus years. As I'm studying for the test, I remember specifically, like, I'm opening up these books and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what am I doing? Oh, I'm going to try to, in 4 months, try to remember all this materials from 20 years ago, and with a brain injury. I was blessed and I was fortunate enough to get through it and be successful. It was the first time in a long time that I was proud of myself, and that I can really say, you know, I can do this. I can be encouraging. I can make this happen. I can do anything I want to do. You know, one of the things that we do, we used to say in football all the time, was rub some dirt on it. You know, you get hurt. You know, you rub some dirt on it. It'll be okay. Keep it moving. You get back in the game. Sudden change. Life is about sudden changes. Sometimes, you know, you'll be in the middle of doing something, and a tragedy happens. Sudden change. You have to brush it off, and you have to get back in the game. You're not going to quit. You're not going to say, "Oh no, I'm not going back in the game." It's inevitable. You have to get back into the game.